Hey guys, Larry the tractor guy real quick. Hey, I might look a little sleepy tonight, and that's because we're out here on the hay field baling a little hay with an L340 Baler, and we've had a lot of trouble with the number 4 nodder, okay? So we made some adjustments to the twine tension on the bottom side of the baler and on the top side of the baler, okay? And so the conditions are just right, and we're gonna go ahead and bale a little hay, and we'll talk about this baler and what we did and the adjustments we made just in a few minutes, so stay tuned. So we're baling up this pretty good premium alfalfa here, and it's about 12:30 tonight.
Yep, right about there.
Right about 12:30, and we're running about 7.5 foot long bales, 3x4 bales in this L340, and we're running about 32 flakes per bale, and we're kicking a bale out about every minute at about 9.5 mile an hour. Okay, and our slack arms on our baler, it's hard to see that, but they look really good. We're running about 1,000 pounds of pressure, so that tells me that the hay is getting a little bit wet. Okay, so we're going to jump out in a few minutes and probe a bale, and then we'll talk about our moisture. When we started out here tonight at about 10 o'clock, it was about 15% moisture on our bales, which was just about prime. We may be a little more than that now, but we're going to probe a bale here in a minute and talk about that, so stay tuned. We've really got some good looking hay bales here, 3x4 premium alfalfa bales. We're going to take a look at those real quick, see what the moisture is, and see if we can keep on baling. Okay, so our moisture is running, if you can see that, right around 14.5, so we're good to go. We're going to go ahead and probe this bale a few more places and check it out, but I think we're going to go ahead and bale hay. Check this out real quick on these knots. Look at that. So our knots are right around 3/4 of an inch on this tail, and that's what you want to see on your second knot for sure, is that 3/4 of an inch right there on your tail. Okay, and what depicts how long that tail is the needle throw adjustment on your baler, and then also your twine tension. So be particular when you're looking at your knots. Make sure you've got that 3/4 of an inch. Now I'll tell you what we had on this baler. So we had a lot of trouble with number 4 nodder right here. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's your 4th twine right here. So we had quite a bit of trouble right here on number 4. And what we seen is that we had one end of the knot that was short, and then the other end of the knot that was really long, and it was getting stuck in the bill hook. So what we found is that the top twine tensioner was extremely too tight. So we loosened off and adjusted that top twine tension to spec, and then when we did that, our knot came out and our tail came out to about that 3/4 of an inch. So we're pretty convinced that we fixed this baler, and we're really making some good bales here. Right around, these bales will probably weigh somewhere around 1,300 to 1,500 pounds on a 3x4 bale, and so we're pretty proud of that. And we're going to get after this hay and start baling some hay. We just upped our machine load, just upped it to 75%, if you can see that, because we were running about 70%, right around 1,200 pounds, and so we bumped that up, so we're still right around that 1,100 to 1,200 pounds of bale chamber pressure. Okay, and so keep that in mind when you're baling up alfalfa and it's in case and it's doing really good. We're going to get out and look at this windrow here in a little bit, but keep that in mind that you can adjust that machine load mode on an L340 or an L341, because what that does for you is that makes your bale more consistent from start to finish. Okay, so you got a nice uniform weight bale from start to finish if you're running in machine load mode. So I believe that's where we have a little bit of an advantage over the competitor balers, is that we're able to run in this machine load mode, and makes a lot of difference on the shape and the weight of your bale. So keep that in mind. We're going to look at these windrows here in a minute and check our moisture. It's a little like after 1 o'clock in the morning, And we've got this baler dialed in, this L340. It is basically not missing one single knot. It's probably just a little bit tight on number 4. On number 4 knotter, we're seeing that it's kind of hanging in the bill hook there for maybe a little bit longer than what we like. But I'll show you real quick on the bottom side here. On the bottom side of this L340, the slack arms, if you can see that, they're running just a little bit on the tight side, if you can see that. And what I mean by that is we've been baling hay here, and they're running all the way to the top of their stop, right in this area. So they're probably a little bit on the tight side, but we made that adjustment, that 18 to 20 pounds using a fish scale. And so we're gonna leave that alone since it is doing a pretty decent job of tying knots. We are seeing that it is hanging in the bill hook on number 4 pretty frequently, but it's not enough that we're having to get out and release it. It's releasing it on its own. And so I'm gonna climb up here on the baler, show you what that looks like here on the top side of the knotter real quick. And then we're gonna go look at this windrow and probe a few bales. Okay, so I'm gonna open this knotter box and we'll take a look there real quick. Okay, so here's our knotters, 1 through 6. And man, it looks really, really good. And what I mean by that is our slack arms up here on the top, they look pretty well the same all the way through 1 through 6. Okay, we did make an adjustment on the twine disc here on number 4. Okay, and we might adjust that just a little bit more, but I think maybe the reason that we're hanging a knot on number 4 is that we may need to loosen off of our bill hook tongue pressure. Okay, so we're going to loosen that off just a little bit just to see what it does. But really, honestly, we're really not having very much trouble. Like we have baled up probably at least 20 bales and never missed a knot or hung a knot in the bill hook. So I think I'm pretty confident that we got the baler fixed and that it's doing a really good job after the adjustments that we previously made. So we're going to go look at the windrow real quick. We'll make a little bit of adjustment to that bill hook tongue pressure on number 4. Okay, but let's check this out real quick on our windrows.
So this last bale that we just dropped out, it tested pretty well in a couple spots at 15%, and then there was one spot that's a little wet at 30.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Caleb hold the camera real quick, and we're gonna go look at this windrow. Let's go check this out. Honestly, I really don't like to just grab a lot of windrows in southwest Oklahoma because, believe it or not, we have seen a lot of bull snakes and rattlesnakes underneath these windrows. So I'm a little bit reluctant just to stick my arms underneath that windrow. So we're gonna grab a little hay on the top and kind of fluff it up there. Make sure that we don't have anything under there that we don't want to get a surprise real quick. So check it out. So I'm holding this hay up here. Man, it is really, really good premium alfalfa hay. And it is really, really encased really good right now. It's a little bit on the wet side, and I can tell that because I'm doing this, I'm twisting that, and I really can't break that in half. Okay, and so it's just like borderline right now at 1 o'clock in the morning being ready to bale. Another thing that I'll do a lot of times is check my leaves, and so I'll do this sort of like that and see if I have a lot of leaf shatter, which I don't have a lot of leaf shatter, and that is a good thing because we don't want to lose our leaves off of our stems. Okay, so another thing, if you can get up here close and get a little close picture there. So another thing I'll do is bark it, and what I'm doing is running my fingernail across that stem. Okay, and I can't bark that right now. Okay, so what that tells me is that this hay is pretty well encased. It's ready to bale. It's a little bit on the moist side. In other words, it's getting just a little bit too wet. Okay, but we can still run for probably another 30-40 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and bale up a few more, and then we'll call it quits for the night. It's about 1:30 in the morning. We're about ready to shut it down, but we wanted to make sure that we had one more bale through it and make sure that everything was good. And we know that the hay's getting too wet. Another thing we notice is that, I don't know if you can hear it, but the plunger is starting to really hammer pretty loud now. Okay, that's a pretty good tattletale that the hay's getting too wet. Okay, and so it's probably somewhere around 30 to 40. So we're going to go ahead and shut it down for the night and call it quits. We've been at it for probably a couple hours, and it's like 1:30 in the morning. Like we're just completely like ready to give it up. But luckily the moisture is too high anyway, so we can't bale any hay. But check it out. So we baled up about 45 plus bales with the L340 here in the field tonight, and it was pretty well flawless after we made some twine tension adjustments and then also made some adjustments to the twine disc. Okay, and so we have baled up 45 plus bales and had really good luck with the knots on this baler, but it's got too wet on us, so we're giving it up for the night. But anyway, keep that in mind when you're having knotter troubles, that check that twine tension on the upper twine tension and the lower. Make sure that's in spec, because that will cause you some trouble with hanging up your second knot in the bill hook. Okay, so we kind of ran across that tonight, got him fixed up. So keep that in mind. Tech tip of the day, check your twine tension on your L340 baler. It could make a big difference out in the field. Larry the Tractor Guy signing out. Hey guys, check out Larry the Tractor Guy videos here, other videos here, subscribe here, and buy all your John Deere parts here.
We'll make it work. I think
We're gonna have to make it
we'll make it work. Come on, let's go.
We need to make
You need some food.
Y'all already burned me out.
some bloopers.
He's sitting in the sun over here, man.